Whenever you have to put a because after a boundary, it's not a boundary, it's an excuse. Boundaries are, this is true because I say it is true, and there's no explanation needed.
Next word. Domination.
Yeah. Domination and trust are two words that go completely together with me, in me. And trust is something that is very important in this reality. Well, that's bullshit. Trust is, lack of self-trust is one of the major wounds that we enter this world with. And as the reality evolves from the inside out, if you have a lack of self-trust, it will realize itself. It will realize itself by you being dominated. Domination is basically the response of lack of self-trust. And this ties together with the work of Rorical Martin on, well, the archetypes, basically. I know he changed his name, but I don't know how the new name is, what the new name is.
Archetypal Dynamics.
Archetypal Dynamics, exactly. Archetypal Dynamics. One of the shadow archetypes in there is the so-called sheep. Somebody who has problems with the boundaries. The wound behind it is self-trust, lack of self-trust. In my sense of telling the story, you do not trust the world, and therefore your trust will be violated. You will create for yourself a violation of your trust. Therefore, somebody comes to you and has a desire with respect to you. But as you do not have any boundaries, because you know that it's painful when boundaries are violated, therefore you do not have any, the violation is basically certain, because somebody without boundaries can only be violated. And that is an act of domination. So every violation of a boundary is an act of domination. Are there other acts of domination? I don't think so. So if you consider yourself a sheep, if you resonate with being a sheep, this world example of what to do with it is learn to have healthy boundaries and learn to communicate them. Because the big difficulties with having boundaries, like many people say, yeah, now I have boundaries, but people violate me still. People dominate me with respect to my boundaries still. And the question is always, okay, did you communicate the boundaries? Because in your head, you already do, because you're thinking about them. But if you do not speak them loud, you're basically asking somebody to read your thoughts, which is possible, but not something that will stop somebody violating you. So therefore, first, have boundaries, communicate boundaries, and then see what happens. And the next thing is, whenever you communicate a boundary with a because, like, you cannot come closer to me than this, because then I feel that you are too close and I'm uncomfortable. Whenever you have to put a because after a boundary, it's not a boundary, it's an excuse. Boundaries are, this is true because I say it is true, and there's no explanation needed. Any explanation is just an invitation to argue with the boundary. And the core of a boundary is it's something that you cannot argue with. A boundary is just a no without any further interrogation. Unfortunately, if you keep your wound of lack of trust in yourself, and you manage to have wonderful boundaries, you communicate them well, and you do not tell anybody a because after your boundary, you're still in the game of always having people come at you, trying to dominate you, and now you know how to deal with it, but it's still not fun. At least from my point of view, if somebody tries to dominate me and I have to show a boundary, it doesn't happen in my reality, but it doesn't sound like fun to me. The key, from my perspective, is not learning how to deal with it in this reality. It's a good first step, because the healing of self takes time, but the self-trust. How do you embrace self-trust? Just take something that allows you to embrace it. Affirmations might work. Tappings might work. Explorations with a skilled facilitator of where it's coming from might work. But it's usually a wound that happens before you're born, so you cannot mentally go through it. You can still work with traumas from your childhood where self-trust is violated, and by just being present with it, by shining your light through it at this expression of yourself that was traumatic, you heal something of the wound. But in the end, it's just a practice. And if you want an exercise that I would suggest, it's just sit in meditation with a song that you like, probably without your lyrics. It's good if it's 5 to 7 minutes. And basically sit as in meditation. And on each inhale, you just inhale self-trust. How do you do it? By having the intention of it. Like, I trust myself. You can think I trust myself as an affirmation, but the key is the intention of inhaling trust for yourself. And whenever you exhale everything that is out of alignment with it, that is not resonating with it, that is in the way of trusting yourself. How do you do that? By just having the intention of that. So in your head, it just works like, I trust myself. I trust myself. 5 to 7 minutes every day for maybe 3 months. Then stop it, forget about it, and write another 3 months in the future in your calendar, in your just a reminder of check what happens in your life with respect to self-trust and people violating your boundaries. And you might be very surprised of what happens.